All right, welcome back, everybody. Been a few weeks. We got a stock market update. Been quite a bit going on, but we'll look at the charts first, and then we'll get into our news. So last time we talked, I believe we were in this healthy pullback around 17,000 on the Nasdaq, and we've just shot straight up from there. We hit all-time highs this week in the Nasdaq. We did hit all-time highs in the S&P 500, and we're still off our highs of 40,000 for the Dow. For me, I don't really follow the Dow that much, just because it's just 30 stocks. The Russell 2000 is just choppy. A lot of small cap companies in there, but the markets are looking pretty good. I do think we're still set up for a nice market until the election. And again, we are set up to continue chugging along until we hit a recession, a black swan, something bad. And then when we run into that wall, that's when we're likely to see the US start to cut rates and we start the recovery process from there. So just want to reiterate that. And let's get into our news. A lot of stuff going on. We're going to touch on some things. I've got some other videos coming out soon on some other separate pieces of news. But the big news here, Nvidia hits $3 trillion valuation. It passed Apple, and I believe it's only around 120 billion away from Microsoft. We'll see if we can get there. Nvidia is going to do a 10-for-1 split next week. So you should see the price of Nvidia drop down to maybe $120 per share, which is going to make the options a lot more liquid. So that's going to be interesting. When Nvidia does split, I will probably start to aggressively sell puts and look to get assigned in the $1,000 range if that happens. We'll see if we get a sell the news event when it comes to Nvidia. The last few stocks that have split, to my knowledge, have been, let's see here. I know Tesla did a split. Let's zoom out here. Tesla did a split way back here in August of 22. I know Google did a split way back when in July of 22. I know Amazon did a split way back when, July of 22. So when these companies do a split, you typically see a run up into the split and then a sell off after the split. We'll see if that's the case with Nvidia. I really like Nvidia as a company. I don't want to buy anything that's run like this. So I'm gonna have to buy it on a pullback. But this is a company I want to own for the long term. So because the options are going to be probably juicy, there's going to be a lot of liquidity in the options. I'll be playing the puts, selling puts, not buying them, with the hopes of getting assigned. So when it splits, and once we get some liquidity in the options, I'll let you know what I'm doing there and what that looks like. But it is exciting because there's going to be, it'll become a more tradable stock if that's your jam. So that is Nvidia. We'll see if they can pass Microsoft. Kind of interesting to see. We've got rate cuts have started. So the European Central Bank cut rates and the Bank of Canada cut rates this week. Interesting. They did kind of note that they're not where they want to be when it comes to inflation, but they just thought it was time to cut rates. So we will see when we get rate cuts in America, but we're starting to see other large central banks cut rates, which is interesting. We already talked about the all-time highs. We have the GameStop drama, hot and heavy. It's back. GameStop is back. Roaring Kitty had his live stream, and just look at this chart. A lot of spikes, a lot of pumps, a lot of dumps. We're nowhere near the end of this story. GameStop has earnings next week. I do believe they pre-announced their earnings this morning. Again, there's no... Yeah, they did pre-announce their earnings, I believe. Well, oh well. There's not much to say on their earnings either way. But this story is nowhere near finished. I'm fascinated by this whole saga, and for me, it's hard not to like this roaring kitty guy. So, um, if you're buying GameStop, whatever money you put in, expect to lose it all. This is pure speculation, and this should not be a large position of your portfolio. Do your own investment research, do your own homework, but just be careful here with these meme stocks. We saw quite a violent turnaround today in the market, which I do think was interesting, and it was kicked off by GameStop. It's very interesting to me how I'm noticing how GameStop is a little bit of a barometer for the market's risk appetite. So when GameStop is ripping, you see a lot of other things rip, and a lot of other companies that are heavily short. It looks like people are getting out in fears of them being the next GameStop. So we just need to keep an eye on here. Again, I was watching the live stream today, and the market turned around right during the live stream. And not just the market, we had the crypto market tank. And we are in a very interesting spot with Bitcoin. It looked so strong earlier this week, and it looked like we wanted to test and break out of this range that we've been in for a while. And then we've got this big dump here. So this is not a constructive look here. We're still just chopping around sideways. And because it looks like we have possibly failed to break out again, we'll have to wait and see what price action looks like. We break this $65,000 range, and then things are starting to look bearish. So we'll have to see what the weekend brings when it comes to the crypto market. But it does seem a little sketch, which is a bummer. It looked like we were getting real close, but we needed confirmation, and now we've just taken 2 steps back. So we'll have to wait and see. So yep, crypto looking to break out or break down. It was looking 80% for the breakout, and now we're 50-50, and a little bit lower. It's looking like 80-20 the other way. Now on the breakdown, I don't think there is a huge drop. I just think there's going to be a lot more chop. So we're within the range here between 57 and 74. We're chopping sideways through that range. We break through the 66. It wouldn't surprise me if we get back down to 60 or high 50s and chop around before we eventually make the push out of the 70s. I do think we see 100K by the end of the year at some point. Again, not financial advice. Do your own research. We also have software stocks are getting repriced due to AI fears. There were some cybersecurity names this week that put up good numbers, but there are some software stocks. I don't have any on my list here. Let me pull up Salesforce for a good example. So these software companies, their margins are in question. Their margins are being threatened. We saw a nice pullback here on CRM, Salesforce, big company. They saw a 20% drop on their earnings. And I think the market is getting worried that AI is going to make these companies' moats become less and less strong, if that makes sense. So if Salesforce offered a service and charged $200 to a company, there's an AI startup out there that is a lot more efficient now and a lot more lean because of AI tools. And instead of Salesforce charging $200, there may be a competitor coming around and saying, we'll charge $100. And then there's going to be another competitor that says, we're going to charge $50. And then another competitor that says, we charge $30. So you're going to see a lot of these software as a service companies, margins compress, is my guess, and that's what the market is kind of sniffing out here. Adobe's another company. Adobe is a high quality company, but instead of paying $400, $500, whatever they were charging for Photoshop, now you have all these AI tools. So you have a lot of free services. You have Canva for $14 that gets you, 80% of what Adobe does for 10% of the price. So this is a story I'm watching, I'm intrigued in. These are great companies. They have great balance sheets. They have great earnings. But is their growth in question? Is there other competitors out there that are going to start taking from taking some of that pie from them? So that was another big story to look at. There was a few other things, but that's all I wanted to really talk about in this video. I did make some purchases these last couple weeks. I've been buying some more Amazon. That's the main one. Other than that, I did buy a little bit of Bitcoin every time we get a sharp drop. I'm just accumulating for the long term. That's me. Do what is best for you and your portfolio. Amazon, I'm really liking the price. If we can get a little bit more of a pullback, but I like where we're trading right now. As I mentioned earlier in the video, Nvidia is a $3 trillion company. Maybe we're just below that today. We're just below that, 2.97. Nvidia is a $3 trillion company, and Amazon is not even a $2 trillion company. So, in my opinion, there's some mispricing there. Doesn't make sense that Amazon is 30% larger or 30% smaller than Nvidia. Again, Nvidia is a great company. They're growing like a weed. But Amazon had $142 billion in revenue last quarter, and they're becoming very efficient, and they're going to continue to become efficient and have so much cash they don't know what to do with. So that is all I got for you in this stock market update. I hope everyone's doing well. I'll have some MP3 fitness updates. There's some changes to me and my lifestyle that have to do with MP3 fitness. I'll discuss those in a video, so check out those when they come out. Until then, it's hot as hell over here in California. I hope everyone's doing good, and we'll talk soon. Peace out, everybody.